Alright, welcome back to the third Fusion tutorial. This is the second activity, and in this one we'll be making an ice cube tray. So, what we can do is we can create a box, right? And the way we used to do that was to create a sketch. Select this one, we create a rectangle, whatever. And then we would extrude this using the extrude command, right? Like so. Now, this creates a box, works fine. But by the way, I forgot this. But you can see here, it's already created two different things, and you can see here, it's gonna clutter up my browser. I don't like that, right? I don't want to sketch just for a 3D body that is as simple as a box, essentially. So I'm gonna undo all that. Now I'm back to square one. Instead, what I can do is create and select the box tool, right? And so this creates a box in very much the same way, essentially, right? So I'm gonna select the bottom plane. I'll move to the top, and what I'll do is I'll just click on the edge here, the origin, right? I'll move my camera, I'll bring this out, and I'll make this, let's just do something like this, it's fine, okay? And we're just gonna make this any height. Don't worry about this, the dimensions, don't follow along for now. Hit OK, and just like that we have a box. We don't have a sketch, and now in our timeline there's only one command. So this helps to reduce the clutter. Now, the ice cube tray that I'm using is actually dimensioned in inches. So if you remember from our first activity where we made the Lego brick, what can we do to change that? That's right, you can do this. Go into document settings, change the active units, and change this to inches. That's right.
Welcome to America.
All right.
Anyways, now that it's in inches, when we go back to this tool, you can see it's in millimeters, right? But if we go into our length and we select, let's just do 12 inches for our length. You can see how that's increased to 12 automatically in inches. Hit OK. Oh, sorry, not hit OK. We go to width. We change this to 4 inches, just 4. And now for height, we increase this to 2 inches. Hit OK. Now we have it dimensioned in inches instead, right? This would be the correct size that we want. Now, let's just say you don't want to be crazy and you don't actually want to work in inches, right? Because who the hell does that? So let's go back to millimeter. But we still want this to be in inches. How can we do that, right? So let's just try this again. Let's just do 12, 4, and 2. Well, now it's in millimeters and it's tiny. I don't want that, right? But what can I do? Well, the trick's in here. You see this millimeter thing? Remove that and put in a double quotation mark. And that basically is the symbol for inches. So now if we do this for the rest, inches, we are back to the shape that we had, and we are still in proper, correct, totally metric units as it should be in the world. Anyway, I'll let that joke die. In this case, I think as a beginner, it's a lot easier to just leave it in inches. So let's just go back and change it to inches. Just make sure when you're done with this design, you put it back to millimeters, okay? For the love of God, do that. So now we have our box. We only did this one command. That's great. What we're going to do now is to start punching in holes into our box, right? So that we can start filling the ice cubes into them, essentially. So what we're going to do is create a sketch. You're going to select the top face. And this is going to be very reminiscent of the Lego brick. What we're going to do now is create a rectangle. So we just use 2.1. We'll draw it anywhere, doesn't matter again. And this time what we're going to do is make this 1.6 inches in length, width, and 1.2 inches in width. What am I saying? Sorry. 1.6 inches in length, 1.2 in width. Jesus God. Anyways, like that. With that done, we are just going to click. This will just put our rectangle, and the good thing is if we hit escape, we can then change this location anywhere we want, right? So in this case, what I'll do is I'll actually select the dimension. We'll position this away from this edge by 0.2 inches, right? So 0.2. This one as well, we'll do 0.2. And now we have it positioned where we want it to be. What we can do is we can now go and use the rectangular pattern if we want to use sketches, right? But again, I don't recommend you do that because it makes things a lot more complicated. You have to change a lot of things with sketches. So instead, we'll finish sketch. We'll move this down a little bit. We'll hit this profile, select E for extrude, and we're going to push this down by 1.3 inches, so negative 1.3, okay? But if you think about it, ice cubes, they're not meant to be in that shape, right? It needs to come in at an angle. So how can we do that? Well, the good thing is we have this taper angle here, you see? So now watch what happens. I'm going to exaggerate in this case. What if I do 45? See how that blows out? Now it's a bit more like a pyramid shape. Now if I go into the negative, it'll go into itself. So now it's a bit more of a inverted pyramid shape. In this case, of course, 45 degrees is far too much. So what I'm going to do is give it a 10 degree, negative 10 degree taper. And so now if you see that shape, you can see how it's tapering into itself. So when the ice cubes come out, it's going to be a lot easier to come out essentially. We're going to select cut, hit OK. And now we have a recess, a tapered recess in our box. And I'm sure you know what to do now. If we go to rectangular pattern, we select features, remember, select this indentation here, the cut that we just made, select the axes, select this edge, we'll move this out, and we want this quantity number to be 8, and we want the distance to be 10.5. In this case, it's moving the other way, so we have to do negative 10 point, sorry, not 10.5, 10.4. Okay, so 10.4 inches, 8 quantity. We'll move the other arrow down this way. Again, we'll do 2 quantity this time, and 2 inches for our distance. We'll hit OK, and just like that, it's automatically cut out the rest of the ice cube slots for us. So again, like with the Lego brick, not only can we extrude surfaces and multiply them, we can also cut away the shapes and multiply those. Okay, so now we have our ice cube tray, but this looks like a horrible ice cube tray. In fact, it looks more like a cinder block. So what we actually want to do is we want to cut away all the excess. We essentially just want this surface only, but on the outside. So how can we do that, you think? Do we draw sketches and extrude those out? Nope, we can actually use shell. That's right. So in previous activities, what we did was we used shells to just cut out from one face. So like say this one here, let's just say we cut out, not so much, it's just to 0.1 inches. You can see it cuts out, but we are left with this horrible wall. Now we don't want this wall, right? And of course, if you wanted to, you could do this and then extrude the wall and cut it out that way. But again, we're trying to be efficient here. So instead of selecting this face here, what we're gonna do is actually select all 4 edges on the side. Oh, by the way, if this happens, just put this value to 0. This will let you select the faces again. We're going to select all 4 faces and the bottom one, and we're going to give this a shell of 0.07 inches. And just like that, you see we've cut away all the extra parts that we don't need, but kept this shape, the tapered shape, the same. So again, shell can be used in many different ways. It's not very intuitive, I won't lie, but as you get more experience, you understand how you can use shell to sort of create these complex shapes with internal geometries, like the ice cube tray. But anyways, we have the main shape of our ice cube tray. That's great. What we want to do now is to make this not so sharp, so we'll fillet this with F. We'll select all 4 edges. So I'm moving the camera with middle mouse click again. You should know this by now anyways. So select that edge. So I've got 4 edges, all 4 edges selected. I'm going to give this a fillet of 0.4 inches. Hit OK. And now this shouldn't cut you, right? So we could leave it like this, but think from a designer's point of view, would you like to use this ice cube tray? Probably not. Why? Because it's really hard to hold. Where are you going to hold it, right? This edge, it's tiny. It's so small. right? And you don't want to hold the bottom edges. So what can you do? Well, what we can do is add a lip to the edges here and have it wrap around the entire edge, right? So how can we do that? Remember from the paperclip activity? So what we do is we create, first off, a mid-plane. So the reason we do this is because we want a plane that is exactly in the middle between this face and that face. So you see how it creates a plane right smack in the middle. So we hit OK, and we select this plane, create a sketch. Now what we can do is we can draw a lip, right? And we can make this any shape we want. But in this case, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm going to draw a shape down. I'm going to make this 0.25 inches. I'm going to select the other way, and you see how that constraint shows me that it's perpendicular. I'm also going to make this 0.25 inches. I'm going to hit enter. And so now I have that shape. But I don't want it to be sharp, remember? I want it to be easy to use. So I'm going to use a fillet, and I'll make this smooth. And I'll give this a 0.1 inch fillet, right? So this is nice and smooth and it's easy to grasp. I will hit enter. And now what I can do is with the offset tool, I can select this offset. And I can make this as thick as this one here, the two edges here. And that would be an offset of 0.07 inches, remember? So hit enter. And now to make the profile, I can just connect these two edges with a line. See, now it's a profile, hit escape, like so. And we can finish the sketch. Now, previously we drew the path ourselves, remember, with the paperclip? But what you can do with the sweep is, as long as you're connected, you can select the profile and you can select the path from a 3D body instead. So in this case, we know we want to wrap it around the entire edge. So if we select this edge here, you can see it's wrapped that profile all around the entire edge of our ice cube tray. So now if I make sure it's joined, we hit OK. Now we have that nice lip going all around it, so that when you go to break the ice, you can hold on to this end with one hand and hold on to that end with another hand. So just like that, we have created an ice cube tray, right? If we want to, again, make things nice and smooth, we can always go back. So this is very sharp now. We can always go back to when we made that extrusion. We can select F, right? Select the bottom face, and we can just give this a very small 0.05 fillet maybe. Hit OK. And now if we go back to the future, now, oh right, I forgot, sorry, with the thing here, you've got to select your feature. Remember, you've got to select the objects, you've got to select all of them, including your fillet. Why is this being a pain? Hang on. There we go. Okay, yeah. Fusion's a bit finicky. It sucks, but what to do. So again, just pull this out, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. This is 10.4. Okay. And now just like that, you see it's all filleted. It's nice and smooth. So that's fine. Okay. So with that, we're done. And we'll see you in the next tutorial where we make a hex nut.